Welcome back. Now today we're going to look at a table centre arrangement. I've chosen a red and green colour theme. You could of course make this arrangement for any time of the year, but this one has been designed for Christmas. And I think this might be the third video that we've done for Christmas 2023. Now my mechanics for today is a block of floral foam. It's actually half a block of floral foam that I've pre-soaked. And today, to make it easy for you at home, if you're a beginner and you haven't done any arranging before, I'm just going to use an ordinary household saucer or possibly a side plate, because that will hold your foam perfectly well for use at home. If you've been arranging for a while, then you might have plastic containers or sandwich trays that you can use, but anything that will hold water is adequate for arranging flowers on. And then I'm going to use my floral tape to hold the floral foam. Now this is often referred to as Oasis, but Oasis is the brand name. So I'll refer to it as floral foam. But this is like a sponge that absorbs water and keep your flowers alive for you over the festive period. And what I've done is I've just taken the tape from one side to the other. And when I'm arranging, I'm going to have the tape from front to back. It means that it allows me to get more flowers here at the side, which is going to be the longest part of my floral design. Okay, so let's get started by getting our outline shape, and for that I'm going to use Greenery. Now I've got some florist Greenery. This one is Pinus strubus, and you will see it's that lovely needle pine that we often see on Christmas trees. And I'm going to try and find two pieces that are fairly similar, and that's probably the best I can get. I'm going to cut these so that they're the same length, and you really need to determine the length by the size of your table. Now this is going to be a fairly average size arrangement. Now these arrangements are often referred to as horizontal or long and low, and you can adapt them for wedding table centres or for dinner parties, birthday parties. It's just the same sort of principle. And I'm adding my two red candles in the middle to create a traditional symmetrical design. If we look at our Greenery, you'll see it's angled downwards. It's not sticking up in the air like the side of a boat. It's angled downwards. It's helping to disguise our container, in this case the saucer, and I'm working flat on the table to start with. I'm not yet coming up onto the top part of the foam. Get your shape in first, and then when you're happy with your outline shape, we can cover the top. Now I'm going to look for two pieces that are going to create my width, and an ideal proportion would be about half of the length. So I've cut two pieces, two shorter pieces, which are going to provide the widths to my arrangement, which is the smaller measurement. And because my Greenery is quite pointed, I've almost got like a diamond shape starting to take place. If you were using a more rounded type of foliage, maybe a hardruscus or a eucalyptus, you might get a more rounder appearance to your design. But it doesn't matter. I really love using different types of Greenery, and as a commercial florist, I can get hold of lots of different types. But if you're struggling, just look for any type of foliage. This time of the year, ideally it needs to be evergreen, otherwise it's going to drop and it's going to start looking unsightly. Or you could invest in some florist foliage, pop in, have a chat with your florist shop and see what type of Greenery they've got on offer. And what you'll see I did as I was talking is I've come now in between each piece of the limier coloured Greenery. So this was our width, this was our length, and then I've gone in the middle here with a different shade of Greenery. If you've only got one type of foliage, then just continue using that one variety. You might not be lucky enough to have got a choice of Greenery like me. Now I'm going to come up the foam slightly so we're not right on the very edge of our container, and I'm going to start bringing in the more grey tone foliage more towards the top of the foam. And at this stage I'm looking to fill in my outline and to start getting a bit of a profile and some height. And you'll see that the top section is a bit shorter. We haven't got quite such long pieces. If you're planning on lighting the candles, then don't come up any further than a third of the height, because then you've got a fire risk, so you need to be really careful. So I'm going to keep on spreading my different types of greenery throughout. When I'm happy that I've used enough of the lighter grey foliage, I'll then start using the limier green up towards the middle. If I've got grey on the left side, I'm going to bring grey foliage in at the right. And I'm trying to create that symmetrical design that's the same on both sides. Okay, so I've done a fairly good even distribution there. I'm going to bring some of this up towards the top. At this stage, I'm not going to completely cover my floral foam because I need some space for my flowers. If you are new to arranging flowers and this is the first time, I would recommend you get a good shape, a good outline shape and a good profile, because then your flowers will follow along with that pattern that you've already created. I know when I teach here in the studio, lots of arrangers are impatient and they want to get their flowers in. But what you will find, if you rush to put your flowers in, you'll have lots of gaps showing and you will have a very unbalanced design that won't look as neat as hopefully this is going to be at the end. So we've got two different types of greenery, one that's quite grey and this one that is more of a citrusy, limey sort of colour green. And because they're quite a similar greenery, they're spiky, they're needle-like, I'm going to introduce some Leucothe, which is going to give a little bit of a calming influence. So if you can't get this, think about a different foliage that's going to be flat. This is a lovely dark green. Again, this is a florist greenery, but you might have this in the garden. I'm going to bring some right out to the outside edge as well, so it's accompanying the pine that I placed in the very beginning. Do one on either side. That will help make it symmetrical and visually balanced. This could be ivy, it could be pittosporum, you might have hebe in your garden, but you're looking for something that's fairly small so that the proportions work well, but something that's going to give you a bit of a contrast. And if you don't have the luxury of all these different types of greenery like I have, then just use whatever you can get hold of. Ordinary conifer will work quite well. If you're near a Christmas tree farm, then they might have some offcuts that they can sell to you. And if you're allowed to forage where you are, pop out for a little walk and see what you can get hold of. One of the important areas that we need to cover is the green tape and that little plastic holder that's holding our candles. So by aiming some greenery there to the base, that's helped hide my tape and that plastic cup. There's still quite a bit of foam showing, but we've got a really good outline shape. Probably a diamond shape, but that's okay because it's going to suit my choice of flowers. And I'm going to start with some red or maybe a burgundy red spray carnation. This one is a new variety. You'll notice that with the head size, you haven't got that really thick multi-petaled head. You've got a flat circular disc, more like the old-fashioned Doris pinks. And I absolutely love these. And you might notice that this is probably a bit darker than my candles, but I have got a more cherry red flower going in there as well. Some of you might not like the different varieties or the different shades of red mixed together, but I quite like it. So now I've created that outline shape with the foliage, the rest of the design is going to come together fairly quickly because we're going to keep within the foliage outline that I've already created. So I've started by adding some flowers to the length. I think this side might be a bit longer. Then I filled in around the edges. The little small flowers, spray carnations, spray roses, freesias maybe if you're using those, work much better to create the outline than very big heavy flowers like roses, carnations or gerbera. The daintier flowers work better on the outside. And I'm just going to keep filling in until I've used them all up. Trying really to create something that's symmetrical, that's evenly balanced, and keeping them low in my container so they angled right down alongside the table. A couple of short ones close to the foam That will help create depth and draw your eye into the middle. Spray carnations are easily found in supermarkets and florist shops, so the availability for these should be really good. And they're a really long-lasting flower as well. I'm just going to add in an extra bit of greenery on this side here and this side, because I feel I've got a bit of a gap. That's better. Sometimes when you're turning it around, you miss sections. So the spray carnation is a really accessible flower. You can get it in most shops. It lasts tremendously well, and you can get it in a really diverse range of colours. So there will be something to match your Christmas table. Now my next placement is going to be my bigger flower, and that's going to be the Gerbera. And I mentioned earlier on that this was more of a cherry red against the burgundy red, and I quite like that. It's just tints, tones and shades of the red. And because I've got 3, I'm going to evenly space them out on the top. If I had 4, I would do 1 this side, 1 facing me, and then 2 on the end. But I've actually only got 3. I bought a mix box of them, so there wasn't enough for me to place them symmetrically. So instead, I'm going to have to evenly create a pattern there on the top. So 3 lovely big red Gerbera are going to be my focal point. If I just tilt that forward, hopefully you can see a diamond shape with the focal flower in the middle. This is probably one of the most popular designs we do for tables at Christmas, and it's one of the most busiest we do for workshops. Now I'm going to introduce a green carnation, and if you're part of my Facebook group, so I have a private Facebook group called Sharon's Innovations. Don't send me a personal friend request because I won't accept it, but you can join me on my Facebook group, Sharon's Innovations group, and often I share unboxing videos where I show you what's been delivered. So if you're a member of that group, you will possibly have seen these carnations being delivered. And what I'm doing here is I'm creating what we call a visual line or a focal line. It's going to run the length of my arrangement from left to right. If we look there in the overhead camera, you'll see that the green line is running from left to right, from one side of the arrangement to the other. And now what I've got to do is link the middle section through, cutting them much shorter this time, so that they're shorter than the greenery we placed in the very beginning, because that's the outline shape and we don't want to lose that shape that we've created. And then I'm going to just going to tuck one down the side here. So we have a line running across the width and we have a line running from one side to the other, and that creates that really rhythmic movement through the arrangement. If you had more green, you could also put these in the corner sections, but I'm quite happy with the way that is. And if you don't have as many flowers as I have, then just think about evenly spreading them out. Now I have a really beautiful rose. This one is Red Naomi. It's a gorgeous florist rose, and I'm going to start by tucking these alongside my carnations to create another rhythmic line. So the carnations are coming from one side to the other, and I'm going to do the same now with the rose. So we're repeating that shape. Now I'm starting to feel a bit of resistance in the foam, which means that very soon I'm not going to be able to get any more flowers in. So if you're thinking about making a design that's longer, then you need to start with a bigger piece of foam right at the very beginning. But for a design that's about 18 inches to 2 foot in length, then the size foam that I started with in the very beginning is adequate. And that's my arrangement nearly complete. I've just got one more flower to fit in. And this is Skimmia. You might have this growing in the garden. It also comes in a really lovely limey green. And this is just going to be used to add in a really soft texture. Everything in here so far is quite heavy. We've got big flowers, got large Gerbera, there's large roses in there, and this is going to give a bit of softness. And if you haven't got anything like this, think about gypsophila from the supermarket, or anything again from the garden that's got a really soft appearance to it, because it really adds that extra little dimension to your arrangement. If you're a keen arranger, you could invest in a plant like this for your garden. It's a fairly easy one to look after. I've just got one more piece there to fill in, and hopefully we've got a fabulous table arrangement that would look amazing on anybody's Christmas table. You could create that for a gift for somebody, and if you're lucky enough to be invited for Christmas dinner, then you could take a fabulous table arrangement with you. So it's at this point of the video that I ask you to subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell so you can be informed every time I upload a new tutorial. Please like and share, tell your friends. If you're part of a flower club or a gardening club, then let them know they can learn floral design with me on YouTube. I look forward to seeing you for the next tutorial. Thank you as ever for watching, and goodbye for now.